Hey people, it's Nias talking. Now, I want to update you about the South African news. Now, we should have seen this coming really, because I saw an article yesterday on Business Tech talking about, or some analysts saying, well, we're going to have intervention in South Africa over this situation. It's just typical. Every time they want to poke their nose in, they can't mind their own business. So this is from CNN. South Africa hits back at the unfortunate Trump tweet on land reform. Johannesburg, CNN. South Africa hit back at Donald Trump on Thursday after the US president criticized the country's land reform policies in an overnight tweet. The controversy began when Trump tweeted late Wednesday that he had asked Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to closely study the South Africa land and farm seizures and expropriations and the large-scale killings of farmers. This is Donald Trump's tweet. I have asked Secretary of State Secretary Pompeo to closely study the South Africa land reform and farm seizures and expropriation and large-scale killing of farmers. In quotation, South African government is now seizing land from white farmers, which is taken from the empire of evil, Fox News, and their usual empire of lies. Trump's tweet appears to be in response to a report on Fox News which alleged that the South African government was seizing land from white farmers. On Thursday, the South African government and Trump said Trump's tweet was based on false information and said it would call on the US Embassy to explain the president's remark. South Africa totally rejects this narrow perception, which only seeks to divide our nation and remind us of our colonial past, the government tweeted. South Africa will speed up the pace of land reform in a careful and inclusive manner that does not divide our nation. Hysterical comments and statements do not assist in the process, said Kuselo Diko, spokesman for President Cyril Ramaphosa, told CNN. The majority of South Africans want to see land reform. The majority of our farmers, white and black, want to be a part of this initiative. And they're right, he is divisive. This has nothing to do with Trump. He has a history of just poking his nose into things. I mean, do you remember the NFL? That was actually being sorted out between Colin Kaepernick and the players and the NFL, but he came in saying they're disrespecting our flag, those disrespectful SOBs need to be kicked out, and the whole thing started all over again and ruined all forms of diplomacy between them. Now he's trying to get involved in this now, this whole South Africa business and the land reform, and he is not going to solve anything. This guy, for all his talk about being the deal maker, he screws up every deal. There's no way he can have diplomacy or any relations with anyone without getting that on their bad side. You know, if there was any diplomacy meant to be had in South Africa between the government and the white farmers, this guy will probably piss off the government so badly that they will just go in and take whatever land is not taken. Anyway, killing of farmers at a 20-year low. Land is a complex issue in South Africa. Racist policies of the past forcibly removed black and non-white South Africans from the land for white use. And if you want to give it a specific number, the 1913 Act basically took 93% of that land and gave that to whites and gave 7% to the 80%, actually over 80% majority. Now, about 20 years later, they had another act which basically increased that from 7% to 13.5%, and that's really how it stayed for the last 80 years. There's not very much change. Okay, now there's been a land redistribution and restitution provision in the country's constitution since South Africa held its first democratic elections in 1994. The government has been criticized for not moving quickly enough to settle land disputes. The political debate over land reform has stepped up a level ahead of next year's elections. Farm seizures, as described in the Fox report, are not ongoing in South Africa. However, President Ramaphosa had announced on August 1st that ruling ANC will seek to change the country's constitution. This is bad grammar. Would seek to change the country's constitution to explicitly allow land that was seized during apartheid to be expropriated without compensation. And despite Trump's claim about the large-scale killing of farmers, research published in June 2018 by AgriSA, one of the country's largest farmer organizations, showed that killings had reached a 20-year low. You see, the actual statistics are not the same, but according to Trump and his Kellyanne Conway with her alternative facts, the actual facts don't mean anything. Or Rudy Giuliani with his truth isn't truth quote. 47 farmers were killed in 2017, according to AgriSA, making a steady decline from the 153 farmers who lost their lives in 1998. So that's a massive decrease, not an increase. Crime is a serious problem in South Africa more broadly. There are more than 19,016 murders nationwide in 2017, according to police statistics, a slight increase from 2016. In a speech to farmers in Bela Bela, Limpopo, which was prepared before Trump's tweet, South Africa Deputy President David Mabuza insisted the government would discourage those aiming to divide the country over land reform. We would like to discourage those who are using this sensitive and emotive issue of land to divide us as South Africans by distorting our land reform measures to the international community and spreading falsehoods that our white farmers are facing the onslaught from their own government. This is far from the truth. Trump is not the first foreign politician to take aim at South Africa's land reform policies. In March, South Africa sharply rebuked Australia Immigration Minister Peter Dutton, suggested white farmers should receive special visas due to the horrific circumstances they face at home. Now, this is something I really want to get at. These Australians. Now, they are very racist in the way they treat their Aborigines. Now, I've seen statistics that apparently Aborigines are 3% of the population, yet they are a quarter of the population in jail. I mean, if you want to talk about discrimination, why don't you talk about the discrimination you're doing? Oh, about the horrific circumstances in South Africa. Stop getting involved in other people's business and stay in your lane and fix your own house. Ruth Hall, a leading expert on land issues in South Africa and a professor at the University of Western Cape, described Trump's tweet as ill-informed. That's putting it mildly. The kind of statement that Trump made is characteristic of him. It is unfortunate, ill-informed, it is incendiary. What it does demonstrate is the white right wing in South Africa has been successful in internationalizing their agenda, Hall told CNN. It also puts a spanner in the works of the concerted effort that President Ramaphosa has been making to clarify the land reform issue to the international community and investors. The government has clearly stated there will be no land grabs. Trump's tweet comes after a month after his president's predecessor, Barack Obama, delivered a speech alongside Ramaphosa in Johannesburg, which he warned against the rise of the politics of fear. Obama's speech was seen by observers as a veiled criticism of some of Trump's policies. Now, I just want to talk about Trump. Now, he's going on about what's happening to the white farmers. Listen, this guy needs to focus on his own country. The tariffs he's having is screwing the farmers in his country. Like, they are facing the fallout between all the embargoes that China, Mexico, and all the other countries are putting against them. They had to have that $12 billion subsidy. If he just stopped screwing around with the policies, his farmers would be fine. And that's just one aspect. The unemployment that is happening because of his trade wars. And then let's not forget the heroin epidemic, which he claimed was a national emergency but hasn't actually done anything to fix. Again, when will Trump make America great again? I can't see it happening anytime soon. Anyway, please comment, rate, and subscribe. If you're viewing this on Black Junction TV, if you see any adverts, just click on them. It would help. Anyway, thanks. Peace, family.